Thomas is finally talking about multiplayer for No Rest for the Wicked, and we're going to do what we normally do here at the channel. We're going to do a deep dive into everything he's talking about, and we're going to give you guys all the latest and greatest information from this. We are today talking about release date. We are talking about when we might see the roadmap for No Rest for the Wicked. If you're a console player, hello and welcome. Trust me, I cannot wait to give you news about a console release date. That is the number one question from the PlayStation fan base, from the Xbox fan base, and we will be getting news on that, and maybe sooner rather than later, the news. I still think 2025 at a minimum if we're talking console and full 1.0 release. But when's the next update, and why are we talking multiplayer, and where is this roadmap that we're expecting? I do not expect them to release the updated roadmap until they have a hard commitment on that release date. They have an internal one. I'm talking about October with each one of you guys, and if I'm wrong about that, I'm going to do what I always do and gift out members here to the channel. But we've got so much to break down. I'm so excited to share this because multiplayer is the future for No Rest for the Wicked, and it's looking like a freaking amazing future. If you guys like No Rest for the Wicked, hello and welcome to another No Rest for the Wicked video. My name is Brian. If you happen to be new around here, if you like this kind of content and you want to keep seeing it, there's a subscribe button around here somewhere, and if you find it, sound off in the comments so I can welcome you just like I can with Ember and Lan the bot. Welcome into the channel, guys. I'm so glad you're here. Also, huge thank you for the support on my last Light No Fire video, along with the No Rest for the Wicked and the PS5 Pro video. That actually shocked me the most. I was not expecting that video to get a lot of traction, and you guys absolutely surprised me with that. So thank you guys so much for the support on the content. But let's dive into why you actually clicked on this video. What is Thomas talking about with multiplayer? What do I think about it, and how is this going to impact the game going forward? Thomas opens up. It's going to be interesting to see how people will react to playing Wicked together in multiplayer. As a kid, I loved Secret of Mana and the whole idea of playing together through an RPG together with friends, but almost all the action adventures and RPGs back then were single-player affairs. I even tried pretty shoddily games like Blaze and Blade on the original PS1 just because it supported multiplayer. Then MMORPGs came out, and playing together with tons of other people was great. But these games had a distinctively different feel like something like Secret of Mana because it was 10,000 people on one server. And that comes with a lot of limitations since everyone has to be able to access everything within the world, which means a singular player can't have too much of an impact on the world. Diablo, Souls, etc. chose a different approach where you just invited guests into your single player game temporarily, and then that lacked the odd Secret of Mana feeling of actually playing through one game together. So in many ways, our multiplayer will finally fulfill that dream that I had for a long time, where everyone can share their realms with friends and every player can actually have an impact on the world. Let me know what you guys' hopes and dreams regarding playing an online RPG together with your friends and family. Why is all this important, and why are we talking about it today? First and foremost, absolutely got to highlight and call in Secret of Mana, namely because that was one of the games that really defined my childhood. So no matter what, Thomas is immediately leaning into that nostalgia drip. I've been playing through Visions of Mana. I've got some thoughts on it, and I might share that in an upcoming video over on Ginger Loves Anime. But in the meantime, I can say this wholeheartedly because I've stated this many times. When Secret of Mana dropped multiplayer, my interest in that franchise went kind of with it. As much as I've enjoyed, that franchise, Secret of Mana, I think, was the pillar of gaming for me as a kid. And he's right, you could play it with your friends, and in fact, if you were on the Super Nintendo with the adapter, you could actually play with up to 3 of your friends. It's a great experience. I've actually enjoyed playing through it again with my kids. Highly recommended. This is where it's interesting, because then to contrast this with when he talks about the MMORPG, another genre that I am deeply rooted into and love and cover over on Ginger Loves MMOs. Thank you guys for the recent support over on that channel, by the way. 20,000 subscribers strong. You guys are amazing. And he's right. One of the most problematic challenges within the MMO space is having a real impact on the world, because it can have a real impact on other players. And a lot of players don't necessarily want that. And then he goes in to talk about Diablo and Souls-like games having basically that guest appearance. No Rest for the Wicked is very unique because while we don't have multiplayer in our hands right now, the idea that we can create a game and we can play that game, and even when I'm not playing the game, you can be in that game, and we're moving the town and everything forward. We're progressing the game and the story forward. And then the fact is that we can create multiple of those. So it's not like you can't have your single player experience of something that you're working on, but when with friends, it's all about that kind of teamwork and having that real impact on the world itself. I, for one, cannot wait to see how that feels in the long run. And that's why you see the level cap or the player cap set at 4, because obviously you don't want 1,000 people pushing your world forward. What this brings up into question is, what are the permissions that we're going to set up for that? How do we invite each other? How do we manage those lists? Can it be more than 4 players and the server just supports 4 at a time? What are the rules and how do we manage that? That is something that I'm very curious to see and learn about, and that is a big question that we have for it. And seemingly the fact that Thomas is talking about this today means that it is on its way. I've speculated that the next update not only would be the multiplayer update, but the Breach update. Thomas has kind of teased out so much about that, especially in the interview that I was able to have with him. Awesome. Thank you guys again for the support on watching that interview. This is all really good news. And the only bad news about this is that if this update falls at the same time as the New World of Eternum update, that's something I'm looking forward to playing as well. And so I'm just kind of, in a way, hoping that it's either early October or late October that we get to see it. I did speculate that the release date would be in the last 2 weeks of October, just to give them more time and enough time from their last previous update, which was July the 22nd or 23rd, back in that period. So all in all, this is, I think, a really positive sign for the game and that it's moving forward. If they weren't talking about multiplayer, or if we didn't hear anything from them this month, then that might impact the update and when it might fall, pushing it into November most likely. But all in all, like, while they haven't been updating any or haven't had any kind of Q&A sessions on Discord, and if they do, I'll be sure to give you guys the latest rundown of all of that. We are kind of in this waiting period. I'm almost done leveling up my mage, and I have to say I've got some thoughts about that, and I really do miss that they pulled the XP out of the Crucible in this last update. Hopefully we'll see that make a return, or we'll see new methods of leveling up as well. But I'll be sure to give you guys all that updated thoughts, as well as more No Rest for the Wicked guides. And yeah, this game's just so great. I cannot wait to play it more. I keep playing it, and I can't wait to kind of get back into hardcore playing it, and that's gonna really kick off when the multiplayer update does drop. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna test the heck out of it. We're gonna get it rocking and rolling, so when this game does officially release sometime maybe next year, that it's ready to rock and roll and so many more people can join in and have fun with it. Anyway, as we like to do with videos around here, I like to end on a message of hope, and the question ends up being is, why the word hope? I think hope is a very critical component, and it can be easy to see it diminished in modern society today. And that's why I make these videos. That's why I sit down and talk to you guys. I want to get real. I want to be as honest with you guys as humanly possible when it's all said and done, because I see a lot of suffering out there. And I think that if nothing else, just the understanding of you're not alone, and if you believe in yourself, these two things combined are almost, in a way, a superpower. And I want to just encourage you guys for those two avenues. Don't give up on your hope, and believe in yourself, and then take action. And so I want to leave you guys with two stories, because in my worldview, I'm living on bonus time. When I was in middle school, I was picked on. You know, I'm ginger. I was overweight. I'm still overweight, but losing weight, which is really great. And Catholic. And these three things were a recipe for a small town in Oklahoma to not necessarily be the most, awesome place to be at that time. Well, one day, I think a lot of boys got together and they decided we're going to really mess with me, and they decided to push me into a pile of broken bottles and glass. And it slipped my wrist pretty bad. I still have the scar to this day, and it came within a centimeter of the artery. And if it had hit that artery, I would be dead now. So I look at this scar all the time, and it reminds me that I'm on bonus time, because there's no reason I should have survived that. In fact, that should have been the end of my story, but it isn't. And so I get to sit down today and talk to you on this bonus time about the struggles and the sufferings that we all go through. First and foremost, I'd like to also highlight the second story, kind of bringing this to, one kind of theme here. Back in the year 1900, a hurricane hit the city of Galveston, and it killed anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 people. Now, my great-great-grandmother survived that hurricane. She tied her 3 children to her with a rope, and she waded in high water with a 6-day-old baby on her head. That baby was my grandfather, my great-grandfather. Yeah, getting the generations right. This, to me, tells me that we're all capable of such incredible things. And it goes back to that concept of belief, because while I'm also on bonus time, when you think of all the good and bad that has happened in the world, I look at it with the attitude of gratitude being first and foremost, so that I exist. And because of that, because it could have been so easily not true, whether not being born in the first place or getting killed on that field back in middle school, there's a level of gratitude that just wells up within me. The idea that I am here, and because of that, I have agency. I can make choices. And we do, good and bad. We've all made mistakes. Nobody here is perfect, and please don't think me perfect. At best, I'm a hypocrite. And that's something I recognize in myself, and that's something that I try to put the work into, with a focus in on just being grateful for being alive. If you have air in your lungs, even if your life sucks, and I know some of you guys out there right now are listening and you're like, he doesn't understand, my life right now is so hard. I can tell you I understand. Maybe not your specific situation, but all of us have suffered, and you're not alone in that. And any voice that's telling you that you are is lying to you, and you should reject that. And sometimes that takes a lot of practice. I'm not telling you the path is easy, but it's a path worth fighting for. You're worth fighting for. You're worth living for. You're worthy of love. These are things that are true, and they're true about you. And that all falls back into, you got to believe it. And to get to that point, it can take a long time. It took me a long time. It took me a long time to love myself. It did. In fact, even when I was in shape and healthy and people were giving me attention because they, was quote unquote an attractive ginger, they do exist. I didn't love myself. I was still beating myself up for all the things, and getting to be 320 pounds and having these struggles, I eventually hit a point where I did love myself, oddly enough, right? So I tell you, it is possible. And then from there, we've been on this weight loss journey, and I'm down 80 pounds, which is also helpful. And as we've traveled down these steps and getting healthier and healthier every day, that also continues. And having that love for myself, regardless of my weight or life situation and things like that, can be the be all end all difference maker in everything that happens in this life. Guys, I love you very much. And I actually mean that. If you need help, it's not a weakness. You can always reach out. If you don't feel like leaving a public comment, you can always jump in the Discord as well and leave me a DM. Or if nothing else, just know that I'm praying for you guys and hope for the best for you in every way possible. I thank you so much for your time. It does mean a lot to me. It is a privilege and an honor that you guys give it to me. And I always want to make sure that I try to give you as much back as at all possible. And with all that being said, I wish you all the absolute best, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. But until then, take care.